What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Golf on Tap. As always, if you're watching this right now, make sure to jump on over to the YouTube feed so you can interact with all of us. Hit that like button. Also, go and follow Golf on Tap on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Special episode coming to you here today because we got none other than Christoper Powers from Golf Digest to join us. The man who, as I joked with him before recording, has been on the front lines against the Taylor Gooch army here as Taylor's been in the headlines for the last week for blatantly stating he's not going to try and qualify for the U.S. Open, which is certainly a choice. Little cupcake on top, too, seeing Tiger Woods get that special exemption only a couple hours later. I know Christoper's had a lot of people in his comments recently, a lot of live bots defending Taylor Gooch. So we're going to get into all that good stuff here. First, though, Christoper, I know all three of us had Jake Knapp yesterday at the CJ Cup Byron Nelson. And I don't know about you. I at least saw your video that you posted in the morning, but I was feeling pretty good about Jake going into that Sunday. Felt like it was a really good course for his game. I felt like there were similarities to TBC Craig Ranch and, the Mexico Open, Vedanta Vallarta. I felt like they both played to his skill set. And comparatively to what he did on Thursday and Friday, shot 64 both of those days. It felt like Saturday might have been his bad round, and I think that gave me some confidence, especially going against some guys who either hadn't really picked up their first PGA Tour win yet, or either only had one win and hadn't really been in that circumstance much. So I was expecting a big day out of Jake Knapp, and it was pretty clear early on Sunday that he did not have his best stuff. Misses the first green wide left, and it's like, oh boy, here we go. So, Christopher, how do you handle Jake Knapp's poor Sunday? I know a Rangers victory for you in Game 1 over the Hurricanes kind of combated that a little bit, but just wanted to say thank you for joining us on this Monday afternoon, my friend. How you doing, and how'd you hang in there after Jake's poor performance on Sunday?
Well, thanks for having me. And yes, the Rangers win did kind of cancel it out for me. Fortunately, also bet on the Rangers, so that was nice. But yeah, you kind of nailed it. I think I'm not to be Nostradamus here, but after that first approach shot, I was like, oh boy, it's going to be one of those where, he's feeling a little pressure early. And I didn't see Sunday in Mexico because I think he was up by however many, and I was probably doing something better with my time than watching, a walk to victory for Jake Knapp at the Mexico Open. But from what I heard and some of the highlights I saw was he was missing it to the left, and he was feeling the pressure a little bit, but he built such a big lead that he still was able to cruise. So I don't know. Amazing golf swing, amazing athlete. He's a rising star, probably going to be rookie of the year if he keeps up this pace. But I don't know. He might have some questions about how that swing holds up under pressure. But yeah, it was definitely like you, feeling good. Thought, no way Pendrith's going to shoot 8 under again, obviously. Which he didn't, but he did enough to get it done. And then even, I think we're standing on 11T. I think we're one back after he birdied 10. So I actually shut it off at that point because the Rangers were coming on, and I thought, you know what, I just want to ignore it for now, give it a couple holes, and I'll come back to it. And then I see a message from my co-host, one of my co-hosts, Alex Meyer, saying we're dead because the tee shot on the 12th hole, which I did not see until people started posting the picture of, kind of ended it there. But yeah, honestly, been on a decent gambling run lately, so that would have been like kind of gravy to me, a Jake Knapp win. So I wasn't, plus the Rangers, I wasn't as down in the dumps as I'm sure you guys and a lot of Nat backers might have been.
Yeah, it was tough. He had the double miss going. The irons just weren't really there all day long. And it actually was a little bit similar to his final round in Mexico. He was a little bit shaky in the beginning, but like you said, it was really only he and Sammy Valimaki at that tournament, and was able to find it more than Sammy was to get that victory, and just felt like there were too many guys on that easy of a golf course that were making good shots and taking advantage of their opportunities. But he did, give it a little bit of a run there, and it felt like just because of his past experience, having been there, done that, maybe he can kind of pull something out against some of these guys. But ultimately, too many bad golf shots kind of caught up with him. But even though Jake Knapp was not part of the finish, Christoper, wild sequence there at the end for poor old Ben Coles, who, a par 5 that hadn't seen a bogey all day long, is playing like 530 yards, sees green side there and 2 chip on for eagle. At worst, you're thinking par, this thing goes to a playoff. Suddenly, Ben Coles makes an entire mess out of it. Taylor Pendrith comes away with this thing turned on its head in a hurry there.
Yeah, wild to watch. We actually had this discussion on our podcast, and I thought one of my co-hosts made a good point. I think we're killing Ben Coles if he just takes his medicine and chips it to 30 feet, 2 putts, loses in a playoff. We're probably saying, wow, that was kind of a bitch move. Like, why not try and hit it really close? So I don't blame the guy for trying to hit the perfect shot at the perfect time. He's Ben Coles. This might be his prime chance at a PGA Tour win. He just hit the decel button on that chip. And that's just, when a guy chunks one like that, it's just absolutely gutting to watch. And again, a guy like him, this is his chance. But Pendrith, another guy, this might be his only chance. He hits it a mile. He's really talented. Maybe he wins again. Maybe he can contend in a major. He seems like he's got the game to do that. But, shit's crazy on the PGA Tour every week. Even when it's Ben Coles and Pendrith, it can still be pretty high drama when it comes down to it like that. But
especially when Pendrith's chipping in from left and right. Guy had 3 or 4
boxing his way around the course. That was
right. 3 or 4 chip-ins in those final 2 rounds. Before we get to some of the talk about Taylor Gooch, I did want to ask you though about your thoughts on some of these, I guess, to call it blatantly honest, lower tiered events where you're not getting a majority of the star-studded guys, and it's kind of treated as a little bit of a bye week. But those have honestly made for some of the more captivating weeks, it feels like, in the past 2 months, especially with Scotty just going out and doing what he did. But like Akshay's win at Valero against when Denny was surging there late, even Steven Yeager in Houston holding off Scotty Scheffler when that wasn't a jam-packed field that week. It feels like those are still very compelling tournaments, yet the TV ratings across the board, whether it is the Masters or, the CJ Cup Byron Nelson, it still feels like the TV numbers and ratings are down all across the board. I'm really curious your kind of thoughts on that. Do you feel like it's because people are just sick of everything that's going on around professional golf right now with the money and live? Like, what are your thoughts on why the TV ratings are so down this year compared to just 1 year ago?
Well, one of our equipment guys made a great point the other day. I think people are playing golf right now, especially with the weather turning in the area of the country I live in. Obviously, COVID was this huge boom of people playing golf, and you watch a few golf shots on TV. What do you want to do? You want to go to the range? You want to go play golf? So I don't think that's the whole answer to the ratings question. But I take all that stuff with a grain of salt. Streaming stuff, they don't account for that. They don't account for people who might just be following on their phone, whatever. And I think, to your point, these have been some compelling weeks, and maybe that's all they need to be. Just the lower tier guys who can produce a compelling finish still. Life-changing win. There'll always be that storyline. And then we have the majors and these signature events still to drum up some interest for the casual viewer. So I don't know. I don't put too much into it. I know it's such a big topic. In every sport, you see people posting about the NBA. Oh, the NBA ratings are down. Well, if the Knicks make the finals, it's going to be insane ratings. So it's all circumstantial. I think Scotty, if he's in the field at the PGA, hopefully he has the baby. People are going to tune in to see if Scotty can, tack one on to the Grand Slam and gun for that. So it's all circumstantial stuff. We do need the stars to play a little bit better when they do play in some of these events. But I think Scotty could save this whole thing by winning the PGA, and then he's like a Triple Crown horse where everyone's going to be watching the U.S. Open at Pinehurst.
Yeah, definitely. We'll get to some thoughts on the PGA Championship at Valhalla, as we're now just 10 days out from that, the second major championship of the season. But we do got to get to the meat and potatoes here today's episode, and just your full thoughts on the Taylor Gooch situation. Ross, I know you've been the one that's been talking with Christoper and got him back on the show here. So I'll turn it over to you to ask some questions in terms of where we want to steer this conversation with Christoper about the Taylor Gooch ordeal.
So, yeah, I mean, this all came about because I would say for a good 2 hours on Thursday, Christoper,
I forget what it was. It's like a blur.
you had like this, and you had just our whole corner of the internet was your throne. And I'm sitting at my desk at work and I'm going through, and every single post is just you throwing something else out there at just another Gooch guy being like, oh, well, he shouldn't have to do this. And it's like, and just first of all, applause to you for just going on that hill and dying on it, because we all needed it, and it was so entertaining. So applause to you. But just, I guess the first thing is, he plays himself into this situation, does he not?
Mhm.
Like everything he says, especially when we go back to Augusta, it's going to have an asterisk on it because I'm not in it.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, you were quite literally the only person in like the top 50 ranked golfers that was not invited to this thing. So I'm not even going to call that really an asterisk, because you just didn't try hard enough to even get in that thing.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. You nailed it. I think, it goes back to even when he compared the whatever event to the Ryder Cup, like he just constantly sticks his foot in his mouth and it makes him an easy target. And then, like that that just rubbed me and a lot of people the wrong way. When Graham McDowell is sitting 3 seats away from you and he has won a US Open in the last 15 years and he's sitting there like, yes, I'm going to go try and qualify because his exemption ran out. He's not good enough anymore. He's got to go qualify. He's putting on his big boy pants. Jason Kokrak ripped off 3 wins a couple of years ago. He is just as strong of a case as Gooch. He's playing some great golf. He said, yes, I got to go qualify. These 2 guys, obviously Brooks is another story. He's in the majors for a long time now, but these 2 competitors, your teammates, are sitting right next to you saying that, and you put your head down and give that mopey, like, I'm holding this grudge answer, which is what is happening here. Everyone can spin it however they want to. He's pissed off about last year, which he has a right to be. I'll give him that. They fucked him over. The USGA 100% screwed him when they changed the language last year because he made the tour championship, but he wasn't eligible. Whatever. They screwed him over. But you're 32 years old, dude. Like, you're a grown man now. Like, you got to grow up and get over it. And look, we all hold grudges. I'm Irish. My mom is one of the great grudge holders in the history of grudge holding. So I understand a grudge. But to me, like, I don't know, golf is such a rejection game. You're told no all the time. You don't shoot the lowest score. You lose. You come in second. And you keep coming back for more. You keep competing. And to me, for him to be like, no, I'm not even going to bother. It's just like, as a guy who likes to compete at Monopoly or whatever the hell it is, golf, like, don't you want to compete? Don't you want, like Sergio did it last year. Sergio's the biggest whining baby ever, has been his entire career. And he said, all right, you don't want me? I'm going to qualify for your tournament, play in it. I forget what he finished, but whatever. That's as big a middle finger as you can give. And Gooch would rather, and to me, if he's so good and he's in the prime of his career, he's going to waste the opportunity to try and qualify for a major championship in the prime of his career. And all these people can say, oh, well, he's got his money. He's good. He didn't get a John Rahm sized bag here. Okay. Yes. He's made a lot of money. Probably a smart decision on his part to go to live in the prime of his career, strike while the iron's hot. But he's not, when he's 80 years old on his porch someday, he's not going to think, oh, I stuck it to the USGA. I guarantee you he's going to think, wow, I fucking ruined a chance to play in the US Open when I was playing the best golf of my life because I was being a 32-year-old baby. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and there's a couple things for me, like the lack of humility, especially when people are being asked right next to him, these similar questions, and
Graham McDowell's got to swallow his pride this year as a US Open winner and go to wherever, Columbus or Florida or New York, whichever qualifier, play with people who have day jobs and club champions who think they can take on, the US Open, and he's going to swallow his pride. He's going to go do it. Taylor Gooch is too good for that. It's like normal people think what we're talking about right now. And then you have the crazy people who think he's owed something.
And we've seen numerous players who are going through struggles go and try to qualify. Ricky Fowler is one that always comes to mind when he was really at like the lows of lows. And I just don't understand where Taylor Gooch has this over the line cockiness that like he really believes he's him. Like he really thinks he's him when Buddy had one PGA Tour win, and it was the RSM.
He won a couple live events last year when John Rahm wasn't there yet. Probably a couple other players weren't. No Hatton. A couple 48-man field 3-day events. Like, all right, cool. That's a great stretch. Playing against some decent competition, but yeah, to your point, he thinks he's him, and he couldn't be less him. Is he top 100? Should be in all the majors? Yes, probably should. I'll give you that. But you went to live. You knew the consequences. He is really upset that he has to deal with those consequences, and he's not the only one. But he says the stupidest shit out loud that make him the easiest punching bag.
Right, and it's almost like the way he carries himself is like he's like Joaquin Neiman's age. Like he's like this up and coming next wave guy who's like already established. It's like, dude, you left at 30 years old. Like you've been here on the PGA Tour. You didn't really establish yourself that much here. And like you said, Christoper, to his credit, he probably did take the deal in the right move for him moving forward. Like
that's the one smart thing he's done in the last 2 years, or said or signed, whatever.
Yeah, so I just don't understand where this cockiness is coming from. And it's cringeworthy cockiness. And it's the same way with the live bots and the live stands on social media. I don't really know who's worse. It's like, why are you guys backing this guy when there's nothing for us to really feel the way about him that he clearly feels about himself, right? Like what is your basis for standing on this side of the hill when, I mean, shit, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but this is a losing argument, friends. Like, what are we doing here?
About an RSM Classic winner, period. And again, I could use the Graham McDowell comparison all day. The guy has a U.S. Open. There are multiple guys who are going to have to go through what Graham McDowell is going through this year. I think back, I used to work for Metropolitan Golf Association. We ran one of the sectional qualifiers up in New York, the 36-hole day. Lee Jansen qualified at Chambers Bay that year. He has won 2 U.S. Opens, and he swallowed his pride as an aging tour pro and said, all right, I've won this event 2 times, but I still got to go qualify for it. And he did. He made it to Chambers Bay. I think he missed the cut, but irregardless, these guys are all competitors at their very core. And to me, this move is just saying, I don't feel like competing for my spot because of some shit they did last year. And if he's so good, and like you said, he's got this cockiness about him, should be no problem. Go shoot 5 or 6 under over 36 holes at, 2 courses in Ohio. I don't know. Like there's a lot of options for him to go to one of these qualifiers. Some of them have like 12 spots available. You can top 12. There's going to be a lot of tour pros there, but I think if you're that good, you should be able to finish in the top 10 of some sectional qualifier. But he doesn't want to because he's probably afraid he might not do it.
I was going to say the spin zone on that is him saying, yes, I'm going to go do a qualifier, to find out like he finishes like T18 and doesn't even come freaking close to making it.
Exactly.
It gives me big time, like scared of worst case scenario vibes. You know what I mean? Like he's like scared of failing and like, I don't know, just like I know a Taylor Gooch Ryder Cup would ever be far fetched, but like, how would anyone playing on that team be like, this guy's got that dog in him? Yeah, like, we want to be alongside this guy on the front lines. Like these are just pussy vibes that they're just giving off. It rubs, I think, a lot of people the wrong way for a lot of different reasons.
It's indefensible in my opinion, even though I spent 5 hours of my Thursday with people defending it.
And we are grateful you did. We are very grateful you did, because it was oh so entertaining.
The mute button was getting a workout this morning. Whichever thing I did this morning brought up.
And now it's going to be real interesting at the PGA Championship, because
now we get to see.
This afternoon, Mr. Gooch himself got an invite from the PGA of America, along with David Puig is going to be there as well. So now it's kind of like target on your back season, Taylor Gooch. Yep. Like, not going to be a whole lot of people rooting for Mr. Gooch out there, I don't imagine, at old Valhalla in Louisville, Kentucky in just over a week. I don't think he ever does himself any favors.
No, and hopefully, as my brain is spinning right now, content-wise, hopefully somebody says the wrong thing to him and we get a Zach Johnson situation. So, you're right. I doubt people will be like roaring, cheering him on. I think he'll he'll get some serious heckles from some boozed up Kentuckians, and it could make for an explosion. I don't know. It could be interesting. Or he could play really well, and I'll be thrilled for him. That would be awesome. I would love. It would be such a good story if he's anywhere near the lead on the weekend. It would be must-see television. But I also hope he gets heckled and takes it out on a fan.
Either way, it could wind up being real good. I mean, it's kind of a win-win at this point. And low key, it's not terrible having a villain out there. Golf's missing a little bit of it.
The content people always win. That's what people don't get that I'm arguing with. Like, this is a win no matter what happens. We were talking about Taylor Gooch all day last Thursday. Like, that's awesome. I love that. I'm like madly tweeting. I'm like, this is great. This is what you live for. A random Wednesday, Taylor Gooch gives you a whole day of content. So I need more of it for sure. I'm excited that he's in the PGA.
So I guess one of my questions for you is, me and Jack were talking off camera before we jumped on. Do you take this as a move from like the PGA of America, where it was just a straight up like, all right, shut the fuck up, put your game where your fucking mouth is with this invite, after, you know, everything he spoke about Augusta and even trashing some of the other live guys for golfing on DP World Tour to go win events and get their Masters invite? And then on top of the US Open, do you think this was like PGA of America just being like, you know what, dude, shut up. Like, here's your invite. Put your game where your mouth is. And dear God, how funny is it going to be if you miss the cut?
It's definitely an interesting theory. I'm going to steal. I saw my buddy Dan Rappaport tweet. I think they've just done a good job of staying kind of down the middle on this whole issue. You saw Brooks was allowed to play in the Ryder Cup. I think, was he the only live guy in the Ryder Cup? I forget. Because the European guys
was.
I believe
that's
so.
Not the PGA of America making that decision for Team Europe, but for the US, I think they've tried to remain down the middle on it, and kind of let the USGA be the dramatic, which they've always been the, you know, drama producing organization there. And then the Masters obviously just kind of knows what they're doing, who to invite and how to run a tournament. So I like the move from the PGA. It's an interesting theory, kind of being like, hey, here you go. Let's see what you got. Because again, as we said, he's in the prime of his career. He's playing amazing golf. So here you go. Come to the PGA and show us what you got. And yeah, I love that all the live bots and Gooch people are now saying this is such a great move by the PGA after they told me all last week that the majors were dying a slow death.
Right.
He wasn't going to play in them.
The internet remains undefeated, and that's why we all love it so much. Last question I have for you, Christopher, on like the current state of golf and everything. We've seen, obviously, the PGA Tour just came out with the announcement of the payouts to select players, and at least to me, it felt like this was at least a little bit of a step in the direction for maybe the PGA Tour and Live Golf taking that next step potentially. And as we talked about off the top, we're reaching that 2-year marker coming up here pretty soon, since it was announced that, you know, that these two are like is it 2 years or is it a year? I forget how long this has all been going on now. Yeah, it's a year and 2 years. Oh no, it was last year's Canadian Open. I have my timeline wrong. I apologize. Yeah. It was 1 year ago, but still coming up on that 1 year marker, that this was the groundbreaking news everyone was caught off guard by, and we still haven't really seen that next step be taken. Do you think we're going to see it this summer here, or see any signs of it maybe coming before the end of the season? What are your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, I did think the Masters would kind of be the time that maybe pre-Masters, maybe right after, there would be some sort of announcement, like they were getting closer, and obviously that has not been the case. So I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I'm some, Adrian Wojnarowski golf insider. I hear things here and there, but nothing that concrete. I would just a kind of educated guess would say that this off season, if you can call the golf off season an off season, that something probably gets done, because it can't go on like this. It's got to be a way to get Brooks Koepka and Jon Rahm and Scotty Scheffler on the same golf course way more often. And I think everyone realizes that and understands that. And I think something does get done before 2025.
I really hope that's the case because I've gotten sick of it. I think a lot of people have gotten sick of it, and it sounds like even the players have
Yep.
they're really over it on both sides too. I mean, Rory McIlroy has talked about it numerous times. We've heard Bryson speak out about it on the side of Liv too. So yeah, we just there's no way to go forward if this isn't together. It's becoming more and more apparent by the passing day, and it's kind of just becoming a beaten down topic, and everyone I think is even just sick of talking about it and just waiting for it to freaking happen. So hopefully sooner rather than later, because I think it's the only way moving forward. But Christoper, before we let you go, we got some pretty good golf tournaments coming up here. We're kind of in that mid-season stretch, getting into the nitty-gritty as the summertime is approaching here. We got the Wells Fargo this week. Scotty Scheffler has blessed the entire gambling community by not being there, opening up the field a little bit. And Ludwig Oberg, too, withdrew a couple hours ago due to a knee problem, unfortunately. So those two of the top 3-4 favorites going into this tournament are out. This tournament is always one of my favorites. Quail Hollow, I think, is an excellent golf course and an excellent test. You've been saying you're on this nice little gambling run here. You had the Rangers in game one last night. I know Jake Knapp didn't go the way we wanted to on Sunday, but is there anyone you're kind of eyeing here for Quail Hollow this week on Monday afternoon, Christoper?
I loved Zalatoris this morning when I saw 50-1. It's now 35. Unfortunately, I didn't jump all over it. I still do like it. I'm not too concerned about last week. He wasn't going to win last week. Will Zalatoris is not a 25, 26 under guy. I think this week, 12 under, 13 under, gotta have control of your golf ball, tee to green, master class, 2 putts, get the job done on weeks like this. As we know, Zalatoris is a great lag putter, so I still like him. And then I don't know if you guys are like me, but I probably will never quit on Cam Young.
Man, we bash Cam Young on this podcast a lot, and probably undeservingly because, man, he has a lot of good finishes. But, man, the Valspar was like, come on, dude. This was the one. You let Peter Malnati outdo you down the stretch. But I did see his odds this morning, and this is just a good driver-heavy golf course.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a breakout spot over the years, and I knew I was going to bring it up to Ross on the show today, too, and I knew he was going to flame my ass for even thinking about betting Cam Young. But I was. And I did agree with you. Those Will Zalatoris odds when he first opened up were pretty large because you got to think if he plays last week and there's no back concerns, he's probably in that 25 to 30 pocket, you would imagine. So I like both of those calls. I haven't pulled trigger on Zalatoris yet. I bet Hideki and Sahith both at 33 once that Ludwig WD came out. I jumped on those real quick because I knew those numbers would get smashed down. So that's all I got right now. I'm going to leave some open spots for these next couple of days to figure things out. Ross, who are you kind of looking at here early on in the week?
So I will make an announcement that we do have our new best friend Christoper here. So yes, we have bashed Cam Young in the past, and we have both agreed that we will not touch Cam Young anytime soon. I did bet on Cam Young,
except for this.
Look at us! Look at us! We're literally Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd. You got anyone else?
So I did end up throwing him in there. So a couple other ones that I ended up touching. Obviously I threw Wyndham in there because Wyndham being the defending champ here, and then that number did get hit down a little bit, so I only touched it a little bit, but Wyndham has just been at this different level recently, where he's got that dog in him when it comes to Sunday, where I think if he's anywhere close, I would not be surprised to see him suddenly shoot up the leaderboard. I did touch Justin Thomas at one point because I did have him. He was a little higher. Last time I checked, I think I got him at 45. I saw him. He's down recently. He was hit down to like 30.
Yeah, those post Ludwig.
I see 25 now, so
yeah,
it's already a win. Closing line value, as they say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all right, chalk it up. That's already cashed.
And then I went a little higher. People that I have just been really consistent that I'm waiting for a breakthrough on, like Corey Connors. I had deep down I got Corey Connors at 50. Where where the game is really consistent. You know, the tee to green, you know, like Christoper said, the final scoring is usually around 12 under, where I thought that's a fair number for him if he can just put together four rounds to be there, as well as Harris English at 60.
Oh,
I love some Harris English.
Been sneaky. Like, I was looking at the Harris English foolishly, now always in hindsight 2020. It was like peeping the Harris English Masters odds for like months.
Yeah.
Man, they were like 200 to 1, and I'm like, this is a guy that's finished a couple top fives in the U.S. Open, so maybe, of course, he was nowhere near there. But I don't mind that call because Harris English has been playing some good golf. I'm not sure where I'm gonna go, how low I'm gonna go down, because this is just a weird odds board, because obviously it's a signature event. But a lot of the top guys have not been playing very well or very consistent this season. There's not a lot of them that I trust, but I don't know how far I want to go down in terms of who I actually think is going to win this thing on this type of a golf course. I think this is a setup that just favors more of those elite type of players. So I got some difficult decisions ahead of me for this week. I'll have an article coming out tomorrow, so everyone tuning in, make sure to go and check that out. Christoper, last but not least, man, I can't let you get on out of here without giving us some thoughts on the PGA Championship, the second major of the year. Assuming Scottie Scheffler is going to be back, we know he's going to be the overwhelming favorite, 3.5, 4 to 1, and I really can't blame the odds makers for listing him at that, and I really can't blame anyone for betting it, even though that return is brutal. It's Scottie Scheffler in the midst of one of the best runs we've seen in a long time. So what are your thoughts on guys going into this year's major? Is it just Scottie's thing to take, or are you liking the chances of some of these other guys behind him?
I did say preseason I thought Scottie would win 2, and I said Masters and U.S. Open, so I'll stick to that. Also, I feel like I planted the flag on Xander Schauffele at the Masters, so I got to bet him all 3 majors the rest of the year now.
Good luck. Good luck.
Good luck. I'll wish myself luck on that as well. So I'm going to keep rolling with Xander. I just think it's got to be one of these weeks he puts it all together at a major. He is so consistent at them. He keeps putting himself there. Hopefully he gets one done. And then we were talking on our pod, it's driver heavy. Steve Hennessy, my co-host, has been there. He's played it, so little insider knowledge. And if that's the case, Bryson DeChambeau at 25 to 1, we saw him almost win at Oak Hill last year, was in it to the very end. So Xander and Bryson obviously coming off a good Masters too. So I like those two. But yeah, hard to argue against just betting Scottie or parlaying Scottie with, whatever else you like to jack up the odds.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Major championship season. We're in full swing here. Got the PGA Championship next week and a pretty excellent tournament this week as well with the Wells Fargo. Christoper, thank you so much for your time, man. It was a super fun chat. Almost as fun as it was watching you slay all over the live bots throughout last week. So thank you very much for taking the time to join our podcast, and hope we can chat again sometime in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, boys.
To anyone tuning in, make sure to go and follow Golf on Tap on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. 100% free, won't cost you anything. We really appreciate all of the support. Until next time, everyone, crack 'em, lock 'em. We'll see you soon.